Curators.
Good evening, YouTube. This is J5276, and this is episode 2 of the Curators of Hardcore. Sorry if this sounds a bit ropey. I can't find my regular headset, so I'm using a different microphone. And I know there was problems with the sound on the previous video. I'm going to try and rectify that. So, as you can see, today we are covering Nasenbluten's Really Nasty Violent Sex EP. I thought I'd do this video quick because the copy you're looking at I've actually sold to a fellow in Australia on eBay for the princely sum of £45. So that's straight after this video is finished. That's going in a record mailer being sent to the other side of the world. So the story behind this one, as I understand it, is that when Nasenbluten released their early EPs on Bloody Fist and the cassettes, there was a bit of a feeding frenzy in Europe and elsewhere for some of the tracks off these to get licensed. Lenny D got most of them for Industrial Strength, for 100% No Soul Guaranteed, the Newcastle sampler, sorry, not Newcastle sampler, the Bloody Fist sampler, and Germany got some for Straight Outta Newcastle. A lot of these were original tracks licensed, especially for those EPs. A lot of stuff was on Newcastle Hardcore Volume 1, which I don't have, and probably neither do you, and some of their early cassettes. So, in the case of Storm 1, as we'll call it, it's just easier, how these tracks ended up on a label in Scotland, I don't know. You'd have to ask Mark N. But basically, at the time of this release, we're talking 1995. I'm presuming quite late on in 1995. Again, you'd have to check with the people involved in this, because the original tape these tracks were taken from, We've Got the Balls, FISTC-04, came out, according to Discogs, in Feb 1995. This release also came out in 1995, as did 100% No Soul Guaranteed. So I'm not sure which came first, this or 100% No Soul. But basically, it ended up on Storm Records, ran by, as far as I know, by a guy by the name of Jackhammer, who I believe was involved with the Nosebleed events up in Scotland. It was also a kind of sister label to Breeze Records, which was more bouncy techno type stuff. There was also a sub-label by the name of Storm Breaks, which that was only one release by DJ Producer, but I digress. At the time, it's basically up in Scotland, all bouncy techno, Scott Brown, Ultrasonic, etc., etc. So this turning up on a Scottish label is something of a sort of departure, and well, it blew the roof off. Basically, it's a cracking EP, and it, you know, it's sort of the main tracks, as far as I'm concerned, are Intellectual Killer and Cut to Bits, which are the sort of the rap vocal over double speed kicks, which sort of Nasenbluten's more well-known tracks, and the sort of syndicate style of stuff. A lot of people like Pessimistic Guy, which turned up later as a remix on an American label, Atomic Hardcore, picture disc. There's a whole story to do with that picture disc. The release was delayed by some months for various things, but that's a story for another time. So yeah, it's an awesome EP. The tracks are all taken off this cassette 4. A curious one I've noticed on Discogs, the track Dash, the B3 on this EP, is just a dash as in a line on the tape. The A1 intro is down as Pessimistic Guy, open brackets, intro perhaps, close brackets. And yeah, they're all on there. So it's all 8-bit Amiga stuff, but it's, you know, it's Nasenbluten, you know what I mean. And it was a very well received EP. Intellectual Killer got licensed to the Techno Head 4 compilation. I remember Techno Head's column in DJ Magazine at the time. They loved this. They loved 100% No Soul. I think that went in the pre-internet, pre-Discogs, pre-internet days, helped Nasenbluten get noticed, at least in the UK. So yeah, so I picked up a copy of this many years ago. I think in the early 2000s, maybe, just in the racks in a sort of second-hand record shop in Liverpool, amongst all sort of the usual sort of happy hardcore and bouncy techno and a few Dutch Gabber randoms was this. And this copy, looking at now, I got for £15 off eBay. Managed to get yet another bargain, and I've sold it for £45. So it's not super rare. Again, there's 3 copies up for sale on Discogs at time of writing. Guy in France, Netherlands, not France. Vinyl for sale. He's a big shop seller, loads and loads of stuff. He's got it for £40. It's in VG condition. He says it's got a sort of lot of crackling. The next one down's a guy, £48, also VG condition. The B-side, unfortunately, with some scratches. I think he's graded that very conservatively. I think he could have got away with a VG Plus for that. And then there's a UK seller flogging it for £55. The going rate, it seems it's sold in the past. I'll just check the sales history on OGS. And yeah, the going rate's about £40 to £50. There's a near mint there that went for £60. There's near mints gone a couple of years ago for £30. So there seems to be all of a sudden less copies floating about. So as I say, I sold mine on eBay. It was also listed on Discogs for £45. Something I have noticed is that I mentioned on Discogs, I left a comment in 2004 mentioning that something that I did hear at the time, that Nasenbluten, Mark N and so forth didn't get paid for this release, or there was some problem over the money. Storm standing for somebody's taken our royalty money. Since there's been a reply in the last couple of months by someone claiming to be, and I'm pretty sure it is him, DJ Jackhammer, one saying that Nasenbluten weren't ripped off, and that Storm Records is quote unquote back. I don't want to talk about the first part of that. It's gossip, it's drama, it's 15 years ago. Nearly 20 years ago. I have noticed that there is a Storm Music Soundcloud account, lots of sort of industrial techno stuff on there. Probably they'll be sticking to digital releases. They can probably consider themselves a separate label to Storm Records, so you're not going to see a Storm 7 anytime soon, I don't think. They'll probably start from scratch. So yeah, that's interesting enough that there's sort of another artist who disappeared 15, 20 years ago popping up again. That's the ease that you can get music sold and distributed on the internet these days. I would suspect that it's due to all the shenanigans that went on around this release. It's why it's never been repressed. I think a couple of the tracks have ended up on CD compilations, but as far as I know, the only other time this has popped up on vinyl is, as I said, Intellectual Killer popping up on the Techno Head 4 compilation. That's the only other thing I've seen that on vinyl. I think possibly the only other time that Nasenbluten's stuff outside of their own release has been on vinyl, maybe sort of on a compilation, a site for industrial strength stuff. I'm trying to think. No, I'd say so. If you want to point out if I've got that wrong, feel free. But yeah, there's never been represses or anything like that. All the industrial strength stuff has been repressed. Loads of copies of 100% No Soul repressed floating around. Likewise, all the stuff on Strike was repressed. There was the old rope repressings that Bloody Fist did themselves. But this is it. This is the only sort of ones floating about, and I'm fortunate enough to have got 2 copies. My other copy still with the original price tag from the shop in Liverpool in the boxes here somewhere. So as I say, some lucky chap in Australia is getting this copy. So yeah, it's a damn fine EP, and quite difficult to get. as is a couple of other things on Storm. There's a DJ Tron EP, which I actually picked up recently as well. That's difficult to get. There's the two DJ Freak EPs, not so difficult. The only one I haven't got is War 6, Storm Record 6. That is a thing actually. If you ever get white labels, sort of War 001, be careful, because there is a German label called War Records who use the same catalog number. So you might want to watch out for that. That you're thinking you're getting one and getting the other maybe. So to try before you buy on that one. I assume that both labels there will be white labels floating about. There is white labels of Storm 1, Really Nasty Violence XEP. And the white labels apparently, white labels test pressing, that say Nasenbluten Really Nasty on them. So if you ever spot that, also might have Storm Records 1 written on it. This is all information I'm taking off Discogs here. So if you like what absolutely nobody calls rapcore, it's the song, for example, the song I'll Cut to the Bits is from the Ghetto Boys. I think that stuff's called horrorcore. I don't know. The Grave Diggers, Ghetto Boys, that sort of thing. Possibly sort of cross it over to the Wu-Tang Clan type stuff. But if you like that sort of stuff, if you like your rap samples, then seek this out. You might get lucky on, say, eBay or something and pay 20-30 for it. But if you want it right now, you're going to be paying 40-50. So I hope that's been of help. I'm hoping to do some more Nasenbluten related stuff, because a lot of their stuff is either rare, especially things like their early Bloody Fist releases, collectible, or just plain interesting. There's always stories surrounding Mark N and Co around, so hopefully I'll get into some of their stuff. I'll provide links to several of the Discogs pages for the store, the EPs I've mentioned on here. There'll be links to the videos of the various tracks so you can listen for yourself. I think only Cutter to Bits and Intellectual Killer have got YouTube vids, but I will have a look round. So all information you'll need will be on there. So this has been J5276, and that has been another edition of the Curators of Hardcore, and I'll see you soon. Thanks very much.
Curators. Hardcore.